What are those black spheres? Sarada Uchiha's ability? There are at least 4 of them.
All this time I kept my eyes closed, not even realizing that by doing so, I was denying my own strength.
My body, it's floating.
I thought my feelings were a weakness that kept me from growing.
She's too dangerous for us. I'll stop you here!
Now I accept my feelings and the power they give me.
I can't move. Such strong pull.
Mangekyo Sharingan, Ohirume.
Ohirume is an incredibly powerful technique, capable of instantly annihilating its opponent. It deflects any attack, as Sarada creates a gravitational field around herself, which she can control at will. In the manga, we were shown that Sarada is able to create 4 orbs, each of which possesses its own gravitational field. Based on this concept, the animation you saw at the beginning was created. I have said many times before that her eyes, which resemble the sun, were hinting at the power of gravity. Now she has used 4 black holes, if we can even call them that. But is that her limit? Most likely not. This is suggested by the pattern in her eye that appears behind her when Sarada uses Ohirume. Thanks to this, we can deduce that she can create at least 8 of these gravitational spheres, and each of them can be configured to absorb whatever Sarada desires. This black hole can change both its size and the strength of its gravity. In essence, this makes Sarada nearly invincible, at least until her chakra runs out. In one of my videos, I mentioned that Ohirume is similar to Chibaku Tensei, as both techniques utilize gravitational force. Because of this power, Sarada is able to levitate, which again references Pain's technique that also allowed him to levitate. Moreover, by unleashing the full strength of gravity, Pain was even able to destroy Konoha. If you look closely at Chibaku Tensei, you'll see it's essentially the same thing that Sarada is doing, a black sphere with its own gravity. Pain could form it in his hand, which allowed him to both repel and attract enemies, or any incoming attack. Sarada essentially is now capable of doing the exact same thing. She has demonstrated that any ability aimed at her can be deflected, as we saw with Rue's sand. In other words, she now has almost the same defensive power as Pain once had, but that's not all. Sarada is not only capable of creating gravity, but she can also, in effect, cause supernova-like explosions. That is when a star collapses and explodes under its own pressure. Sarada is capable of creating at least 4 such blasts. Additionally, we do not yet know how much pressure she can generate, which directly determines the power of the explosion. However, the core idea is clear. The Ohirume technique, as stated by Kashin Koji, is an extraordinary ability, one that enables Sarada to fight even against the Ten Tails and the Otsutsuki, and this is only the power of her right eye. Why is that? Because throughout the entire chapter the focus was specifically on that eye, and afterward we saw something reminiscent of Amaterasu, the bloody tear, and again, it was in her right eye. We saw the same phenomenon with Itachi and Sasuke when they used Amaterasu. Only Obito displayed this from both of his eyes, when he helped Sakura look for Sasuke. This symbolizes that Obito's power was tied to both of his eyes, but I believe this is already obvious to most fans, especially since Kakashi could use Obito's technique himself. Most Uchiha clan members tend to have more than one eye technique. Obito, for instance, was not only able to teleport to his own dimension by creating portals that could also harm his enemies, as Kakashi did during his battle against Deidara and the Ten Tails, but he could also make his own body intangible. Many probably assume that this is one single technique. However, that's not the case. Kakashi could not make himself intangible the way Obito could, and that's because intangibility was tied to Obito's right eye, while the ability to teleport, more precisely to create portals, was tied to his left eye. Yet Obito was able to utilize both abilities with just one eye, but when he regained his Sharingan, it was said that he could now use his portals faster. In other words, the technique grew stronger because the eye returned to its original owner. Even so, many still believe that Obito only had one single ability. Therefore, let's take Itachi as an example. His right eye held Amaterasu, while his left eye possessed Tsukuyomi. The same applied to Sasuke. Yes, there are members of the Uchiha clan who either never revealed the true strength of their eyes, or who possessed only a single technique. For instance, instance, take Shisui. Both of his eyes were only ever shown using illusions, but I believe this character was not fully developed, and we never received a proper explanation of what Mangekyo Sharingan could truly do in his case. However, we do know for certain that anyone who awakens these eyes gains access not only to unique techniques, but also to Susanoo. Now imagine what Sarada's Susanoo could look like, especially considering that Kakashi, when empowered by Hagoromo's chakra, was able to use the complete form of the technique and even turn Kamui into shuriken. Thanks to this, we can anticipate that Sarada will eventually show us something similar, or perhaps even greater than what we've seen so far. In any case, her left eye must either contain a powerful genjutsu or serve to enhance the Ohirume technique. As is the case with both Obito and Shisui, two eyes are needed to unleash the true power of the technique. I believe that many of you have noticed a certain pattern or analogy that seems to emerge. The right eye symbolizes destruction and overwhelming power, while the left eye represents control and creation. This was clearly the case with both Sasuke and Itachi, and it's entirely possible that the same concept applies to Sarada as well. Her right eye, so far, confirms the idea of destruction and immense strength. As for her left eye, it is expected to be connected with control, creation, and something unbreakable or indestructible. Perhaps it will possess the power to perceive truth and maybe even to dismantle falsehoods. What I'm getting at is this: it's likely that this particular power is the very reason why Ida's omnipotence ability had no effect on Sarada. Either that or the left eye's ability will be a force of pure creation. If Sarada can create black gravitational spheres, then maybe on the other end of the spectrum, she will be able to manifest something related to the sun itself, the brighter side of things. The Uchiha are a clan associated with fire, and it would be fitting if Sarada were able to generate something like a miniature sun or a purifying light, something akin to the light of Tsukuyomi, which submerges everyone into a powerful genjutsu. But instead of trapping others in illusion, Sarada's light might do the opposite. It could heal wounds or dispel illusions. In other words, this ability could sever false memories, break illusions, and counteract mental manipulation. She could potentially perceive the truth through any kind of altered reality. Such a power would make her the most dangerous individual to the Otsutsuki clan, because the authors are clearly hinting that Sarada is just as much of a main character as Boruto is. She is destined to become the Hokage, the first Uchiha to ever hold that title, and to finally put an end to the hatred and stigma surrounding the entire Uchiha clan. Therefore, her power should at the very least be capable of confronting and overcoming lies. And what better weapon against the gods known as the Otsutsuki than a complete immunity to all forms of illusion? To summarize, the new chapter not only introduced a powerful new technique, but also gave us insight into Sarada's inner world and emotional turmoil. She had been suppressing all her feelings, something that is deeply detrimental to members of the Uchiha clan. After all, it is from powerful emotions, and especially from love, that the Sharingan draws out its true potential. When Boruto was blamed for Naruto's death, Sarada didn't even realize that she had awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan from her deep love for Boruto, because she had been trying to suppress those feelings for so long. She didn't want to admit to herself that she loved him, but fortunately, she ultimately accepted her true emotions, which in turn strengthened her eyes. The Uchiha must feel love, and the more powerful that love is, the stronger they become. Ikemoto is trying to show us this story from a slightly new perspective, but he still stays true to his own style. Sarada has now become one of the strongest characters in the entire series, and in the next chapter, I am eagerly awaiting the appearance of Kawaki. Since Boruto has already shown us the extent of his abilities, and now Sarada has demonstrated her technique, Ohirume, all that remains is for Kawaki to reveal himself. He has finally reached an agreement with Amato, and is now prepared to unleash his true power. I'll be waiting to hear your opinions in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and the animation, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Good luck to everyone.